Welcome to this episode of At Home with APS. Hi, my name is Mrs. Gaudette. Mrs. Sears will be joining me in a few minutes. We are working today on 3rd, 4th, 5th grade math. So we're going to start with some routines, move into some tasks and problem solving. We're going to do an awesome read aloud about pigs and money. Woo, two favorite things. And then we're going to move into a game at the end. So here we go with some routines. This one's called the magic number. With this, you're given a number, and then you're given some steps you have to do. And then you're going to come out at the very end and yell out that magic number. What did you come out with? So again, for today, if you were with us last week and yesterday, you are going to need a spiral notebook, paper, something you can write with. We're going to be doing activities that we're going to ask you to do with us, or if you have that opportunity, pause us, do it yourself, and then check your work against ours. Because again, we're just showing you our thinking process as we go through these, especially when we get to the game. We're just really talking about how our strategy and stuff like that. So really try it yourself first, then check against us. All right, so our first magic number starts with 72. But then we have some steps here. We have to add 49, round to the nearest 10, add 116. See, I'm trying to correct myself there. Subtract 52, round to the nearest 100, and then multiply it by 4. And then we're going to get a magic number. So let's go ahead and start. So I have here, I will start with 72. So the first thing that I am told to do is to add 49. So let's go ahead and get it in to a format that would make it easy for us. This way works if you want to do it vertically. We're okay if you want to do it horizontally. Just one horizontally, we have to just keep track of a few things is all. When I was doing my math earlier, just FYI, I always do my math prior to working with you guys, and I still mess up. But when I was doing my math, I did it horizontally because it was just quick and easy for me. Either way works. Just try it out both ways. All right, so we have our 9 and 2 more in our 1 spot. So that makes 11. So I know I have my 1, 1, and then I have 10 ones. So I have to take that 10 ones and put it into the tens place. So I have my 7, a 1, and a 4. So I know 7 and 3 makes 10, and then that would leave a 1 from that and a 1 from there, so I have 12, or 12 tens. So that would be 120 total, plus my 1, 1, 121. All right, now my next step says to round it to the nearest 10. So let's go back to our rounding strategies. I know that when I'm saying 10, I have to look at the 10 spot. And then how do I round? What was the strategy that you remember? Was it my strategy where I look to the number behind, and if it's 0 to 4, I round down. If it's 5 to 9, I round up. So I'm looking at that digit. The number of the digit tells me, is it closer to 120 or is it closer to 130? That's what you have to think. Well, lucky for me, I'm not in the middle. I'm actually more towards 120. So I'm going to round that to 120. Then the next step says to add 116 to it. So we're going to add 116. So if I look at my 1 spot, I have 0 ones and 6 ones. If I add that all together, yeah, thank you for calling that out. You guys knew that. It was 6. Then I go to my 10 spot, 2 and 1, 10. So 20 and 10 make 30. Thank you. So we have 3 tens or 30. Then I go to my hundred spot. I have 1 100, 1 100, or 2 100s. So my answer is 236. I've done that step. So my next step says to subtract 52. So I'm going to rewrite my 236 up a little higher so I have room to write minus 52. So again, just like with our additions, we got to go to our place value spots. And in those place values, I have my ones. I have a 6 and a 2. So 6 minus 2 is 4. Luckily, that worked for me. Now I have 3 minus 5, or, because it's in the 10 spot, I have 30 minus 50. Is it 20? Did I get you there? Can I subtract a larger number from a smaller number right now? No, I'm not working with integers yet. When you get into 6th and 7th grade, you'll be working with integers. And then that does happen. But right now, it does not happen. So we have 30 minus 50. That won't work. So I'm going to have to borrow a 100. So I'm going to take out and borrow one of those 100s. So with that, I know 100 is 10 tens. So I'm going to add that up here with my 3 to make 13 tens. So a lot of times you will hear about someone borrowing a 1, and you never quite figured out what the heck they're talking about. It's because we're borrowing 1 100 or 1 10, and we're moving it over to the next place value. So 13 minus 5, or 13 tens minus 5 tens, gets me, I'm trying to break up that 5 to help me out. Take a 3 away from that 5, that leaves 2 that I take away from the 10, so that would be 8, or 80, or 8 tenths. Remember, you notice I'm emphasizing the place value to help you out, because I know those 4th graders really are trying to work out how to work with vertically like that. So I'm really just talking you through it and why this is the way it works. All right, round to the nearest 100. All right, I have 84. No one caught me. Shame on you guys. Oh, some of you did. What did I forget? To bring down the 1. I knew. I was like, how did I get it? 236 minus 52 and only got 84. I had 184. Round to the nearest 100. So I have to know my 100 spot. And then we look to the number behind. If it's 0 to 4, which is closer to that 100, we would leave the 1 alone to be 100. If it's 5 to 9, I round it up, and that gets me to 200. So if we looked at 184, would you really say that's closer to 100? No, that's closer to 200, right? And we could just, even by looking at the whole number, to know that it is closer to 200. My last step is I'm to multiply it by 4. So can someone call out to me, what is my magic number? 4 times 200 is 800. Did you get that prior to me going over it with you? Thank you. I appreciate that you guys are trying. So let's do another magic number. All right. Oops. And then I messed it up. All right, our next magic number starts with 493. All right, I'm going to just jump right in, and I'm going to see what that is. So I have 493. Add 82 to it. Let's do it this way. All right. So I have 3 1s plus 2 1s makes 5 1s. Then I have, in my tens place value, I have 9 10s and 8 10s. How many tens, I'm trying to make sure I'm not going into decimals on you, how many tens are there? Well, I know 9 and 9 make 18, but I have 1 less than that because of the 8, so it's 17. So I have 17 tens, or 170. Since I'm only working in the 10 spot, I can only put that 70 there. So I have to carry over that 10 tens to 100. And we know that 10 tens makes 100. So I'm going to carry over 100 over to the 100 spot.
And
So
that could also be like regrouping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you say carry over, I'm just thinking you're kind of regrouping those tens into 100.
Miss Sears is sitting off to the side, and just like I help her, she helps me, and thank you very much. So we have 4 and 1 make 5, or 500. So we have 575. Now I need to round it to the nearest 10. So if we round it to the nearest 10, we know it's here. So I have 575. Would it be 570? Or would it be 580? Well, if we base upon what we were doing last time, we have that it's 580. So what I'd like you guys to do is, if you had not already done so, I want you guys to go ahead and finish this on your own and find out what was that magic number. All right, everyone. Yesterday, we were working on some fractions. And with these fractions, it's trying to get me today, the technology. All right, with these fractions, we had talked about 1/4 and all the different ways could you, taking a square, get 1/4. And I told you I had come up with 4 different ways. You guys might have come up with another way, but I had promised today that I would show you the ways that I came up with. So we knew that one of the ways was this way, where we folded it in half, folded it in half again, almost like the book yesterday, right, that we read. And then another way, I said, you know what, let me fold it and make triangles. And I was able to do that also. So another way you could have done it is you could have folded it in half, just like we did. But instead of going down, I could have folded it in half again this way. So that I took each half and folded it in half this way. And then I would have one of those colored in to make 1/4. The next way is a little different. We fold it in half. And then what you do with that is, after you fold it in half, then you try to get that triangle again. So you're having to take the fold, and it's a little hard with the folding, but you actually fold it so that you have 4 triangles, that they're very long triangles. So if you notice here, a lot of you are saying, well, that doesn't work, Mrs. Gaudette, because this triangle and this triangle are not the same. They are, though. So with that, if I had taken this triangle, so this triangle, could move up and say, yes, that's exactly the same triangle. I could take this triangle right here and move it down to match up with that triangle. And then if I did a little flopping around the triangle, moving it around, and if you actually try it, cut it out, you would see that they actually go on each other and they're exactly the same size if you folded it well. But I just wanted to go over that with you guys because I did promise. So today we are working with some more fraction, but a little differently. Last time we were working with rectangles and trying to make fractions showing the pieces. Now we're going to be using number lines. So let's look at those number lines. I am asked to mark up the number line with each one of these. So I have a third, 1/3, 4/4, 4/8, 2/8, and the last one's kind of hidden on me is 2/6. So let's go ahead and mark that up and let's talk step by step how we would do that. So if I had 1/3, my question to you is how many pieces would I have? Total pieces. And you noticed I have 0 to 1, so 1 being my whole. How many pieces would I have? I would have 3 total pieces, and then I know I'm gone up to the first piece. So let's make those 3 pieces. So what has gotten me in the past with doing it on a number line, and I'm just gonna let you guys know my mistakes up front, is I would go like this and I'd go, well, here we go. We have 1, 2, 3 pieces. Does that work? We don't count that 0, do we? Even when we're counting numbers, we don't count that 0. We don't go 0, 1, 2, 3. If I say count from 1 to 10, I know a lot of you don't start with 0. You'd start with 1, 2, and on up. So the same goes on a number line. We can't count that 0. I know when I was younger, that was my mistake all the time. Oh my goodness. And I never could figure it out for the longest time what I was doing wrong. So if I'm doing 3 pieces, I have 0, and then we start 1 piece, 2 pieces, and the 1 whole actually is one of our pieces. So you're looking at that and going, Mrs. Gaudette, I really only see the 2 lines, 2 little marks, right? But we're not looking at the marks. What we're looking is at the sections that we have. We have 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections. When you're working with a number line, that's how you gotta look at it. You gotta look at the pieces in between the marks. So if I had 1/3, where would I mark that? So if we start with 0, we have 1/3. So I'm gonna go ahead and label all of these just to help us out so you guys know where I'm coming from. This one would be labeled 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, and what would 1 whole be in thirds? We have 3 of them. We have all of them. So it'd be 3/3. All right, again, please make sure you have that paper out and you're doing this with me. So let's go ahead and go into 4/4. So I have to have 4 pieces, not 4 lines. So because that's where I got is I thought of the lines in the middle. All right. So if we had 4/4, so I had 0, 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, and the 1 whole makes 4 lines. I'm gonna double check my answer, make sure I have 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I have the sections, but did you guys notice that when I was looking at that it's kind of off? You want to know a hint that I have when I'm thinking about this too? So I'm going to erase my lines here because we had it, but it wasn't very good because remember what yesterday we talked about equal pieces. I know that 4 starts with a half. Ooh. Then I know to make 4, I take those halves, just like we talked about here. We take that half and split it in half. I'm going to do the same thing here to get more equal pieces.
And it's kind of like our story the other day, too, with the half of the cake, and then we half the cake to make it to the 4.
Yes, yeah. Right? Remember the cake story? What was the name of that book?
Lion's Share.
Lion's Share. All right. So 4/4. If we're counting, we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So this one right here is 4/4, but to show all of it, we have to put it at the 1. If we are labeling this, it'd be 0/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So let's go into eighths. Now we're going back to the book that Miss Sears read, isn't it? We know we take those force, and how do we get ace? We split it up again in half. So I'm going to give you a hint. We start with that half. Go to the force. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fourths. But to get the ace, I take every fourth and split it in half again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let me double check and make sure I did it right. Remember, you notice I keep double checking because sometimes I just randomly draw lines or I skip a line. I've been known to do that. So how many pieces do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whew. We did it. All right, I have to label 4 eighths, I apologize. I have 0 eighths, 1 eighth, 2 eighths, 3 eighths, 4 eighths. Does anybody notice what that was my first mark also, which was my half? Thank you. All right, we had to do eighths again. We're doing 2 eighths, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark my half and then split that in half to make fourths, and then split my fourths in half to make eighths. All right, now I need to do, thank you for reminding me, double check your work. 1, 2 eighths, 3 eighths, 4 eighths, 5 eighths, 6 eighths, 7 eighths, 8 eighths. Okay, and I need to do 2 eighths. So I have 0 eighth, 1 eighth. There's my 2 eighth. All right, my next one is actually 2 sixths. So now how can I do 6? That's kind of hard. Oh, did someone catch on to the pattern? What could I have started with to help me out with 6th? Thirds, right? I use thirds to help me out. So if I split into thirds, and then I take thirds and split them in half, I get 6s. So we can just split those right in half. And I need to have 2 6. Check, you're right. 1 6, 2 6, 3 6, 4 6, 5 6, 6 6. So I have to do 2 of them. So 0 6, 1 6, and 2 6. I'm gonna have to put this, a little right there. All right, guys, so some of you are saying, that's easy, Mrs. Gaudette. Well, let's try it out when we have it in context with a problem. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. And here we go. Trevor needs to let his puppy outside every quarter, which is 1/4 of an hour, to potty train him. Oh man, can you guys remember those puppies? Have any of you ever had puppies where you have to keep letting them go outside so they don't potty in the house? I had one of those. I have had several of those. Draw and label a number line from 0 hours to 1 hour to show every 1/4 hour. Include 0/4 and 4/4 hour. Label 0 hours and 1 hour too. All right, whoa, that was a lot of instructions, wasn't it? All right, so what's the first thing that we need information? What information will help us solve this? Well, I am asked to draw and label a number line. So I'm gonna go ahead and underline that. Why did I underline it and not circle it? Right, because underline is what we're being asked to do. Circling is the information we need to be able to do that. So let me circle. What information do I need? Right up here, 1/4 of an hour, fourths. So I know I'm making fourths on a number line. And the rest of this I'm going to underline because it's just instructions for myself. Label 0 hours, 1 hour. We are to include 0/4, 4/4, and and label 0 hours and 1 hour. And we're to show every 1/4. So that's a lot of underlining, a lot of instructions for us. So let's get our number line. And you notice this time I don't have one pre-made for me. I got to make my own. Ha, 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 ha. Yep. So the very first thing I should do is from 0 hours to 1 hour. So I'm going to label my 0 hours, and I'm going to abbreviate hour as HR. I'm going to write this up here so that we all know that that is hour. And then I have to go for 1 hour. Now then I'm asked to do force. Now we're going to use that information that we had from the last page to help us out. So if I'm labeling force, what's my tip? Right? Start with a half. Cut that half in half will get me my force. Okay, so I have now cut it. I've done quarters. So we're to show every 1/4 hour, including 0 force and 4 force. I've already done that, so it's really just now the force. So let's label that. I have 0 force, 1/4, 2 force, 3 force, and I got to do 4 force. I was double checking to see if I had to do that. All right. So we have 0 force through 4 force, and it just says, I want to make sure if I had to circle anything. Draw and label a number line from 0 hours to 1 hour to show every 1/4 hour. Do I need to circle anything? Trevor needs to let his puppy outside every quarter, 1/4 hour to potty train. I don't think I have to. I think we're okay here. All right. So today was about number lines and making sure how to know the pieces of the number line. And my hint to you is always to make sure to, after you've made the marks, to count those pieces so that you don't go over or like me, either have not enough pieces or too many pieces. All right, so we're gonna be moving on to a fun book that I'm very excited about.
You want to send it over there?
I'm doing that.
Perfect. Well, I am Mrs. Sears, and thanks, Miss Gaudette. I kind of want to remember to think about those pieces. I almost think about them as intervals. So you're counting really the intervals or the amounts in between that you're looking at on that number line. So that's kind of another way to think about it if you hadn't necessarily thought about it before. All right, so my name is Mrs. Sears. Let me see if I can get a little bit over here to the side so you can see me a little better. And the book that we're going to be reading is called Pigs Will Be Pigs. I have a little pig here too, is like my prop, but that's not necessarily what we're going to be going through. And it's got a little subtitle. It's called Fun with Money, Math and Money. And the story is by Amy Axelrod, and the pictures are by Sharon McGinley Nally. And it is published by Aladdin Paperback Books. Okay, let's see if you can see that pretty well. There we go. All right, are we ready to begin? Cool. This story reminds me of things that happen at my house, and as we kind of go, I'll kind of talk a little bit about how that's working. All right, so we have the pig family here. The pigs were hungry again. Sounds like my kids. Let's have a snack, suggested Mr. Pig. Dear, what do we have to eat? He's asking Mrs. Pig, what do they have to eat? Mrs. Pig opened the refrigerator. Oh no, it's empty. And I just went to the grocery store this morning. Who ate up all the food, she asked. We helped ourselves, said the piglets. And Dad raided the refrigerator a few times. Sound like your house? Sounds like my house. No problem, said Mr. Pig. Let's go out to eat. Great idea, said Mrs. Pig, except for one thing. What's that? Asked Mr. Pig. I didn't get to the bank and I don't have any money, she said. Do you? That's going to be a good question because, you need to have some money to go to the grocery store, right? Mr. Pig opened his wallet. Let's see what he had. All he had was $1. Do you see that? He has $1. That's it. Sounds like sometimes what I have in my pocket too. Mr. Pig opened his wallet. All I have is $1, and that's certainly not enough to feed the pigs. Children, how about you? Do you have any money? The piglets shook their heads no. Well, family, said Mrs. Pig, there's only one thing that we need to do. What do you think they're going to do? Have you ever had to do this? Look around your house for money? Yeah, we do. We had to look around for our house for money too. Hunt for money. Woo! I can't think of all these places that I'll have to go and look for money in the house. I wonder where they're going to check. Let's start. Let me get this way. Can you see that? A little bit more. Let's start with the bedrooms upstairs, said Mr. Pig. He looked through all the closets and drawers. Look what I found, Mr. Pig said to Mrs. Pig. That lucky $2 bill I was saving. It was in my socks. $2 bills? Ooh, that's kind of cool. I have a few of those in my collection. Mrs. Pig searched the beds, looked under the carpet, in the night table, and in her jewelry box. Not too much here, she said to Mr. Pig. Mostly a lot of dust. But I did find 2 nickels, 5 pennies, and 1 quarter. They're on their way, right? They're finding some money. Ooh, what do you think those piglets are doing? Oh, they look like they're looking inside their toy chest. Meanwhile, the piglets were busy hunting in their room. They found 6 shiny dimes at the bottom of their toy chest and $1 bill in the bookshelf. Then they sat down to count out their penny collection. Do you guys have any penny collections in there? They counted 200 pennies. I always keep my pennies in a piggy bank. Ha! Pardon the pun on that one, right? Piggy bank? Ha! All right, let's see. So it looks like Mrs. Pig is in her closet. I wonder what she's going to find there. Oh, it looks like it's coat closet. Back downstairs, family, said Mr. Pig. Mrs. Pig and the piglets opened the front hall closet. They checked coat pockets and all of Mrs. Pig's pocketbooks. Pocketbook is like a purse. They found 4 quarters, 10 dimes, 1 50-cent piece, ooh, I like those too, and 17 pennies. Wow, really finding a lot of money in all these places. I wonder how much they have. Let's see. Mrs. Pig looks like she's going to the laundry room. That's an old washing machine. The pigs were on a roll. Mrs. Pig checked the laundry room and found a wet $5 bill. Mrs. Pig looked through the kitchen cupboards and the pantry. Dear, he said to his wife, there's nothing in here. I'm going to have to go check the basement. Wonder what he's going to find. See if we can see that. A few minutes later, Mr. Pig came running up from the basement holding a $20 bill. Oh, that's really good. Now they're cooking, huh? Look what I found in my toolbox, he said. Guess it's time to eat. Mrs. Pig put all the money in a shoebox. She counted it several times while Mr. Pig drove the family to their favorite restaurant. What do you think that was? The Enchanted Enchilada. Sounds kind of festive. I'd like to go there too. I like enchiladas. Let's see. Looks like they're sitting down in the restaurant. When they arrived at the restaurant, the pigs said to the waitress, "We're the pigs and we're very hungry." Of course, they've just spent all that time looking for all this money and they got a little hungrier than they were before. What's your special? Ooh, kind of an interesting menu here. We've got some appetizers, some soups, some salads, some tortilla specialties, Mexican pizza, side dishes. Oh, over here's our specials. So a cup of chef's special soup, a combo of 1 cheese enchilada, ooh, that sounds good, a guacamole enchilada, a chimichanga, served with southwestern rice and green chili cornbread, unlimited visits to the salad bar, wow, coconut smoothie, sopapillas, or a deep fried ice cream, wow, that sounds so good, coffee or tea, and look, all for $7.99, tax and tip included. Wow, that is a good deal. I wish I could go have that right now. That sounds fantastic. Oh, look at these waiters. They're bringing them out all of their food. So what do you think the pigs ordered? Yeah, they ordered those 4 specials. And they ate and ate until they couldn't eat any more. They paid their bill and left for home. Wow. Let's see. I think I'd be pretty full after that meal, too. Boy, I'm stuffed, said Mr. Pig as he parked his car in the driveway. I can't button my pants. Has that ever happened? That's happened to me. I know what you mean, said Mrs. Pig. I feel like I'm going to explode. We have belly aches, said those piglets. Just a few more steps and we'll be at the front door, said Mrs. Pig. Then we can relax in our nice, clean, neat, cozy house. There's nothing like sweet home, sweet home. Do you think their house is going to be pretty neat after they ransacked it? Looking for all that money? Your mother is right, kids. Let's see if I get that on there, said Mr. Pig. There's nothing like home, sweet home. Look at this disaster. They turned the whole house upside down. You ever heard about living in a pigsty? This is kind of what they mean. Like, it's really, really super messy. All right, so what I thought we would do is I thought we'd see how much money did all the pigs find in the story. And to do that, we're going to have to go back to some places inside the story. And let me go ahead and get our PowerPoint up here, because that's going to give us some more hints. And we're going to go over here. And we'll go back here. And, ooh, I think Miss Gaudette still had some number lines or something on there when we went. Was that on there before? Okay. There we go. All right. So let's talk about the different pieces in the story and what the pigs all had. So if we go back to our story and we're looking at what Mr. Pig first started with, how much did Mr. Pig have in his pocket when he started, or he had it in his wallet, right? He had $1, right? And I want to make sure I put this on there. So can I move this? We'll put it over here. So Mr. Pig started off with $1, right? Okay. Then they knew $1 wasn't going to be enough money to help them with all the money that they needed. So then they thought about going upstairs and into their drawers and into their things. And Mr. Pig found something in his sock drawer. What was that? It was a $2 bill, right? So Mr. Pig then found $2, right? I don't know why my period doesn't want to get in there, my decimal. I have to really, really touch it hard. All right, then Miss Pig was kind of sitting beside him, right? And Mrs. Pig was looking through her drawers, and all she found was a lot of dust, but she did happen to find something. I remember she said she had 2 nickels, she had 5 pennies, and 1 quarter. So how would we write that out if we're writing that out with money? So I could actually make like the pennies, or excuse me, it was 2 nickels. So I could make the 2 nickels and just kind of write 5 cents next to them. And then they had 5 pennies. So pennies, maybe just a little bit bigger than those, or a little bit smaller, than those nickels. But she had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then she had a quarter, right? So that one's just a little bit bigger. We'll do a quarter. All right. So then in the story, I remember that it went back to the piglets. And the piglets were in their room. They were looking through their toy chest. They were looking on their bookshelves. They were looking at everything. And they said they even broke open their penny jar, right? So this one was, so we had, first they found 6 dimes. So those 6 dimes, let's go ahead and see if I can make 6 of those. It was 10, 10. And I really don't have any space to put those cents in there, but we're talking 6 dimes. Then we found a $1 bill. So we have $1. And then they broke up in their penny collection, which was 200 pennies. How much would that be? 200 pennies? I think that's $2, right? And let me get those decimal points in there. They seem like they want to be a little frisky on me. Can't seem to get those. All right, then we had our mom and the piglets. They went down to the closet. They looked through all the pocketbooks. And I think we said we found one. Looks like it was 4 quarters. 4 quarters. Ooh, that kind of reminds me of your story. But when I think of 4 quarters, I'm thinking money. I know 4 quarters is $1. So I'm going to kind of move a little bit faster here. So there was 4 quarters. There was 10 dimes. We know a dime is 10 cents, so 10 times 10, or 10 cents, because we're having a portion of the dollar. It's another $1. And then we had 1 50-cent piece, so I'd love to have that. I collect those too. Another way that we could write that. And then we had 17 pennies, right? Okay. Well, I guess you're right. Miss Gaudette is kind of saying something very, very true. I always get so, I'm afraid I'm going to knock it off of there. Okay, so let's go on to, I kind of have a nice little visual that goes through all of this. See if this will work. So we had Mr. Pig had $1, $2 that he found. We're talking Mrs. Pig found all of that with her quarter. The piglets found their 6 dimes. And then they found their $1. And they had that huge penny collection, which was $2. And then they found those 4 quarters, which is $1. The 10 dimes, which is another $1. 50-cent piece. And those 17 pennies. So let's see. Oh, and Miss Pig did go back to the laundry room. We hadn't quite gotten there all the way. And she found that wet $5 bill. And then Dad found the last piece of it, right, that was in his toolbox, which was $20. So how much money did they have all together? Well, Dad, I can do Dad really quick. Let's see if I can do Dad really quick, and then I don't know if we're going to be able to. You might have to finish this visual all on your own because we've got to have some time to play the game. But Dad had $22, and then there's another $1, so Dad had $23. Oh, that decimal point. How much did Mrs. Pig have? Well, we can do this really quick. We can say $5. Let's use our quarter, $5.25, 30 cents, 35 cents, and then we have 5 more pennies. So we're at $5 and 40 cents. I can finally say and, Miss Gaudette. Okay, because we're using that decimal, we can say that. What about the piglets? Well, we have $1. I always start with the biggest amount. It's more important to do that. So I have $1.60, because those are 6 dimes. And then we had, this penny collection. I forgot that was $2. So maybe I need to add the $1 and the $2 first. That's $3. $3.60, right? You get that? And I can say that. And then finally, the last piece, what Miss Pig and the piglets all found, they found $1, that's at 4 quarters, $2, $2.50, and then 17 cents. So we're at $2.67. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase that. But you would need to use those amounts, and then I would have you try to figure out how much money did the pigs all find all together. I think I kind of showed you really quick. Hopefully you didn't see that really fast. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go move on to our game because I took a little bit longer than I expected with that game or with that story. And it would have probably been easier, but you will have all these resources for you there at home with APS. If you want to look on our website, you can finish out the problem, and there's actually an extension problem that you could do as well. All right, here's our game. So we are playing what's called lineups score. Let me explain how this is going to work. And Ms. Gaudette, if you want to reach in there and probably grab a marker, because just in case we have to write out any of our solutions, we can be writing that on our board. Ms. Gaudette and I both have a separate set of dice. We are going to need 3 dice for this game. You're also going to want to have a partner for this game. So let me explain how the rules work, okay? So you notice there's a board here. There's a chart, right? There's a table of sorts. We have to roll these dice, and we have to come up with 3 numbers. And within those 3 numbers, we have to do any of the operations. That could be addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. But whatever we do with those 3 dice, and we have to be able to say that expression, and I was thinking maybe we can write that expression so they can see what we're doing, before we can mark whatever that answer is, whatever that solution is on the board, okay? Now, the object of the game is to get the whole board filled, because once you get the whole board filled, then there's going to be a certain scoring that's going to be how they decide who the winner is going to be. So it's not a tic-tac-toe. It's not a, try to get this 4 in a row like a bingo or anything like that. It actually has to do with how many in each row you get. So like if you get 3 in a row, you would get 1 point for that 3 in a row. Okay, so you'd have to look for all your ones that were 3 in a row some way, diagonally, horizontally, vertically, that might give you points. And then you're gonna see if you get 4 in a row, you get 2 points each. And this is the big one. If you can get 5 in a row, you get like 6 points each. Wow. So it really behooves you to try and get as many on the board that you can and to try and use it. Now, what happens if we cannot make a number out of any of the operations? Mm-hmm. We lose our turn. Or if it's already marked, there's not really a way that we can use it as well. Okay?
Okay.
Do you understand the rules?
I think I'll ask as we're going. I've never played this game.
We'll probably get a few rounds in here before we finish off today, but at least you're going to kind of see. So you're going to need those 3 dice. I'm going to roll those 3 dice now. I'm just going to have to tell you those. But we also did include spinners on our web source. So if you wanted to use spinners, you could use spinners as well. So I have a 5, a 2, and a 1. All right, so if I'm thinking, and we want to make sure we mark on here too, because we want to know whose is whose, right? So if I did 5 times 2 times 1, that could be a 10, right? So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to mark my 10. Let me change your color. Oh, I should write that down there so you can see where kind of I'm going.
Okay.
And part of it is she has to agree that I was correct on that. So if she said, nah, Mrs. Sears, 5 times 2 times 1 is 45, I would have been like, what? Are you kidding me? No. But your partner has to agree. So you want to see the math.
All right, so I have a 3, a 4, and a 2. So if I added all of them, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I could do that. If I did 4 times 3 is 12.
I like how you're doing all the different scenarios.
2 is 14. Is there a 4? No, there is not a 14, so we don't want that. If I did 4 divided by 2 is 2 plus 3 is 5. I'm totally going to do that one.
So I'm sorry, I couldn't hear all of that. Did you want to tell me again? So you said 4 times what?
No. So I ended up doing 4 divided by 2, which is 2.
Okay.
And then I added 3 to that, got me 5.
Okay. So if we're kind of thinking order of operations too, we might need to get a little bit more skilled in our notation too as well. So, but we know we would do division before we would do addition. So,
Yeah.
ooh, I almost lost mine. So I have a 5 and a 5 and a 1. Okay, remember, part of the game is thinking strategically. I know she always tells me I think my strategy here out loud, but I think it helps me. I want to kind of be thinking how I can get 3 or 4 in a row or going across, right? That's kind of my purpose too. Remember, that's how the points are made when I
Is it in a row, like I have to have 1, 2, 3, or can I just go down here and I have 1,
You
2,
would
3?
have like, let's say if you had that 11 and that 7, that would give you 1 point for that.
Oh, if they're not consecutive, then it does not count.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So you want to be a little bit more strategic. So I have a 5, and a 1. So I'm trying to look around where I might be able to go. The 5 times 5, I'm thinking 25 times the 1. I don't even see the 25 on there. It's not worth it for me to do that, right? So I could do 5 minus 5, which would be 0, add the 1. I can look for the 1. The 1 might be my best bet because maybe I can kind of be thinking this way. So I'm going to do that one. Let me see. You're still on red. I'm going to do that. 5 minus 5, and I'll write that up there, which would be 0. Add my 1, and I would be looking at 1, right?
All right, so I have 6, 1, and 1.
I almost should change the colors. I'm in red and you're in green.
6, 1, and 1. So if I do 6 minus 1 is 5, minus 1 is 4, I could do that. I could do 6 times 1 times 1. Oh, that would give me 6.
Ooh.
So if
Be
I
kind
did,
of working this way here.
so 6 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1 gets me 6. So
You're going to take that one.
take
Perfect.
that one.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Let me get some different numbers. My 5s have been pretty good, so let's see. I'm getting all these 1s. I have 1 and 1 and 4. Okay, so let's see. Where could I go? 1 and 1 and 4. Well, I could try. I'm thinking I'm just going to do 1 times 4 is 4 times 1 would be 4. I'm going to try and move. Maybe if I move over a little bit, it's going to help me.
Get away from me.
Get away from you. I'm trying to forge my own pathway here. So I did say 1 times 4 times 1, 4, right? Now let me change out. There you go.
I have 3, 3, and 1.
3, 3, and 1.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking I could do 3 divided by 3 is 1.
You have 2 3s?
I have 2 3s. 3,
Oh,
3,
okay.
1. So you guys all know
Well-
which one I'm trying to get. I'm trying to figure out, can I do anything?
You could block me straight in my path. I thought of a way, but should I tell her?
No. No, wait. So 1.
If I was thinking across,
Oh,
you could do.
I could do that. That's not what I was.
That's okay.
I was trying to get this one. I'm, of course, telling people
Yes,
my.
but you could also go this way if you wanted to.
Oh, if I wanted to, yes, I
Yes,
could.
and you'd block me right in
In your path.
my
I
path.
could block her going horizontal. I know how to get the 9. I could do 3 times 3 is 9 times 1.
You could do that.
I could get my 4, I think, right? Hold on. 3 plus, no, that didn't work. I thought I had another 1. 3 minus.
It is confusing sometimes, so you have to know. And I think you're going to have to finish up your turn
Yes,
because we
so,
only
all
have
right.
about a minute left.
I'm going to do my 3 times 3 times 1. That'll give me 9.
Okay.
I'm going to do that.
And I was thinking she could have done 3 times 3, which is 9, minus that 1, which could have given her that 8. So that could have been a possibility. Again, she's blocking me off, so it's not like I can get the points. What you really want to do is be able to have those 3 in a row or 4 in a row, whatever diagonally vertically or horizontally, because those are what's going to make your points at the very end of it. All right, so we have had a great day of math learning today, and we are so excited to be working with you. Hopefully you find some great resources on our website and that you can continue working on those there at home. Thank you again for joining us today with At Home at APS. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Have a great afternoon, everyone. See you tomorrow.